Hello there everyone, quick video today on the new rules that have been announced by the government for those who are self-employed. Now, let's just have a look at where we are with so-called side hustles. The increase in the gig economy compared to say 20 years ago made the government bring in a rule that said basically if you have a self-employed gig that you do and your turnover is less than £1,000 a year, you don't even have to report that on a tax return and pay tax thereon. You can have £1,000, up to £1,000 of income tax free. And also, let's say you earn more than £1,000 and you had no particular expenses to offset. They also say you can knock £1,000 flat rate expenses off that. So let's say your side hustle, you earn 1,500 gross in a year from doing whatever it is that you do, and you got no expenses to set it off. Well, you only pay tax on 500 because you're allowed to set off £1,000 flat expense amount. Great. So what's changed recently? What's been announced? The government have said, oh, we're going to increase this £1,000 limit to 3,000. Now, what has happened in the UK, there's been so much misconception as to what that announcement actually was that thousands of people think that the government said, oh, that means that I can earn £3,000 now before I have to pay tax. That's not what they said. What they announced was it's how you report that income, not how much you have to pay, which is going to change. So what do I mean by that? What they're saying is, if you earn up to 3,000 as a side hustle, and so that means that's over the existing £1,000 limit. It's not that 3,000 is tax free. What it means is that you don't have to put it on a tax return. Instead, you have to declare it on some separate online reporting tool. So yes, if you've got no expenses to set off, you can set off the £1,000 flat rate expense. But the point is that 1,000 exemption is not going up to 3,000 from a tax paying point of view. How much tax? Purely on reporting. In effect, you're exchanging the requirement to having to report that on a self-assessment tax return to some other online reporting tool. So two things. It's not as great as it at first seems, that the tax-free bit has tripled. It hasn't. It's still the same, the 1,000 limit, and you get the 1,000 flat rate expenses if you have no expenses. But crucially, whereas you would have had to do a tax return, now you have to do an online reporting tool. So it's still paperwork, it's still bureaucracy, it's still something you have to do. So this talk by the government that it's simplifying things, it's not really. You're just going from doing a tax return to doing some other form of reporting online to HMRC. So how was that any less complicated? I always maintain, just do a tax return. If in doubt, do a tax return. We are a nation of, generally speaking, HMRC is trying to get fewer and fewer people on the tax return system. I don't know why that is. I would always say do a tax return to see where you are, because you can't trust the PAYE system to get it right. If you've got multiple things going on, you've got a job here, a job there, self-employed side hustle there, for goodness sake, do yourself a favour and do a tax return to see where it all comes out in the wash. See if you owe money, see if HMRC owes you money. In America, everyone does a tax return, and they do it within 3 months of the year end. We've got a 9-month limit, which is pretty good. In fact, actually, no, it's nearly 10 months. But anyway, that's by the by. I think that we should have something similar where everyone just does a tax return, everybody. Then you can see where you are, for goodness sake. Because all this, talk of you don't have to do this, but you have to do this, just make everyone do a tax return. It makes life so much easier. Particularly, we've seen instances of the PAYE system not getting it right. So why not just say, carte blanche, everybody do a tax return. Anyway, rant over from me. Hope you like this video. If you do, please subscribe. And as always, I'm going to see you soon.